Inside the Unsealed Gaetz case, how a vulnerable teen was left open to exploitation. Newly unsealed documents connected to the long-running investigation into U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz have revived public scrutiny and raised urgent questions about vulnerability, power, and accountability. The files recount in detail how a 17-year-old girl, homeless at the time and searching for stability, met Gaetz in 2017 after responding to a sugar-dating-style advertisement. The emerging picture is not merely about one alleged interaction. It is about the broader patterns investigators observed: a young girl in a precarious situation, a powerful political figure, escalating financial exchanges, and circumstances that experts say align closely with known pathways to exploitation. A vulnerable teen and the path to contact. According to the unsealed records and investigative reports, the girl was navigating a period marked by instability. She did not have secure housing, was staying in different locations, and was financially dependent on older men. It was in this environment, one where her choices were limited and her risks were high, that she connected with Gaetz. Investigators described her involvement in sugar dating, a term that refers to relationships in which older adults provide money, gifts, or support in exchange for companionship and sometimes sexual activity. Experts say that when minors are involved, such arrangements almost always cross into exploitation, even if framed as consensual. The girl later testified that she and Gaetz had sexual contact before she turned 18. After the encounter, she said she received a payment, around $400, which she interpreted as compensation for sex. Patterns of behavior detailed in the files. The unsealed materials do more than recount one instance. They outline a broader pattern that the House Ethics Committee found concerning. According to the committee's findings, Gaetz made tens of thousands of dollars in payments to multiple women between 2017 and 2020. These payments were often connected to travel, parties, or late-night outings. Investigators found evidence of drug use intertwined with these interactions. Several exchanges resembled arrangements where sex was expected in return for money. While these findings were significant, the committee also noted the limits of their authority and the complexity of establishing federal crimes. They found probable violations of state law regarding sexual activity with a minor, but determined there was insufficient evidence to prove federal sex trafficking across state lines, the threshold needed for federal prosecution. Gaetz's response and continued denials. Throughout the investigations, Gaetz has strongly denied all allegations involving minors. He has maintained that he never had sexual contact with anyone under 18 and claimed he was the target of politically motivated attacks. However, the ethics panel noted that Gaetz did not directly address the specific allegation brought by the girl. That gap has become a point of interest for observers and ethics lawyers, who argue that public officials owe transparency when the allegations involve minors. The broader issue: vulnerability and exploitation. At the heart of this case is a larger, deeply human question: how do vulnerable young people become entangled with powerful adults? Experts say the girl's circumstances, homelessness, financial insecurity, lack of family support, made her an easy target. Situations like hers create what researchers call high-risk corridors, where young people can be drawn into relationships that mimic consent but are driven by desperation. In such scenarios, the power imbalance is overwhelming. An adult with wealth, influence, and security has near total control over the terms of the interaction. When that adult is also a public official, the dynamic becomes even more alarming. Political and ethical fallout. Even without federal charges, the ethics findings have had far-reaching consequences. They undermine Gaetz's public credibility and place him under ongoing scrutiny from both political opponents and members of his own party. Many lawmakers argue that the ethical standard for public office should be higher than the bare minimum needed to avoid prosecution. The allegations, combined with documented evidence of payments, communications, and relationships with young women, have intensified concerns about his conduct while serving in Congress. For the public, this case has reignited discussion around the responsibility of elected leaders, the protection of minors in vulnerable conditions, the need for stronger oversight of potential abuses of power, the blurred lines between private misconduct and public accountability. What comes next? With the documents now public, the fallout is likely to continue for months. Analysts expect new calls for disciplinary measures, renewed public debate, and further pressure on Gaetz to address the details directly. For the young woman at the center of this story, the case highlights the long-term impact that a single interaction, under the wrong circumstances, can have on someone's life. For lawmakers and the public, it is a reminder of the importance of safeguarding vulnerable youth and holding powerful figures accountable.